Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Tucker Tuesday. What's going on out there, chat? Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a lovely day out there today. Oh, I see and definitely sympathize with the people in the chat, the lovely ladies of the chat, saying they're getting ready to start an OnlyFans. I mean, I already have one, but it is definitely getting to about that time to start putting some actual OnlyFans type content up with Sexy Science Theater, which we are recording against it this weekend. If you don't follow me on OnlyFans, you better get on it. Oh shit, I don't even have this prepared. Holy shit, who started us off with that? God bless. Whoa. Q, first time catching you live in 2 years and 8 months. Recently discovered you moved to a different channel. Glad to be watching you again. Here's my explosion re-entrance after so long. Also, I'm blind. Am I blind or is horsecock not in the tip options? If you're that long out of the loop, the comma has changed from the horsecock. You still get one from that, but it's still there, but it's different. The horsecock is definitely still an option. It is under 101 if you want Viper singing it, but if you want the horsecock and a comma song, that's the Grand Flat Boy. Thank you, Quay. Guys, give it up for Quay. Killing it right out of the back. God bless. God bless. Thank you so much. But no, it is, I need you to talk to Viper. She's trying to trick me with traps. I refuse to be tricked by traps. I don't know what you want me to tell her. All she's going to do is send them to me. Guys, give it up in the chat. Absolutely fantastic. Wonderful way to start the show. But, yeah, no, I think it is getting to about that time because... Be quiet! Shut up! Be quiet and shut up. Wow, this is giving me a neat little thing on the back end. Sitting with a doobie, enjoying the fantastic weather today. Life is good. It's cold as shit here. It's cold as shit here. It is getting to about that time, though, to maybe think about start posting some spicy content on the OnlyFans. We are going to be doing a Sexy Science Theater this weekend with the couple that we know. But that is definitely a thing happening this weekend. But I think it's getting to about that time. Make actual spicy content and put it up behind like a $5-10 paywall. Because this shit is getting ridiculous. Did I tell you guys what happened with the P.O. Box? I love the P.O. Box. I found it. I went to an area. I called everywhere in the greater Cleveland area. I went to the place that had it for the cheapest. When I got the box, it was 60-something, 70, maybe $80 a month. I have to re-up the P.O. Box by the end of the week. It jumped from $80 to $177. And I called and I was like, hey man, why is this literally doubled, almost tripled in price? And they were like, oh, well, this is now a high traffic area. I'm like, no, it's not. I went to Lorain fucking County. I am willing to bet you guys don't have a third of those boxes rented out. They're like, well, it's high traffic, so we had to up the cost. I'm like, you had to triple the fucking cost? You had to triple the goddamn cost? I mean, But no, I think it's getting to about that time to consider spicy content on the OnlyFans, because holy jumping fucking shitballs. Thisness is getting insane. And I genuinely do mean it when I say stuff like I am the shitty version of PBS. I am completely and totally viewer funded. Anyway. But yeah, no, it's just an idea I've been kicking around. Maybe once in a while throwing up some spicy stuff on the OnlyFans, then trying to nail down Sexy Science Theater. I want to get a new one out once a month. It's hard to coordinate 4 people to all be kid-free on the same weekend, but it's something I'm going to try to do more consistently. I'm going to try to do that more consistently. But thank you, Spookski, and thank you, Quay. I pay some money for a nice cock, if you will, for us gay boys. I mean, it's there for whoever to enjoy it. Now you kick PBS's ass. I try. I'm not PBS, so I think that kind of really gives me the edge up. But what I am going to do is take a drink of my drink. They want to know if you're talking about the shooter. Who is they? I want to know who they is before I talk about that. Oh, God bless. Apparently I have a fucking hole in my lip. That's cool. Say hi. I did say hi in your chat. Well, TC is a down motherfucker. He's everywhere. I'd pay to see Sinatra suplex. How much? How much and where's the closest? That is my questions. That is the only thing I need to know. Alright, so it popped up there, and it popped up there, and it popped up there. But why didn't it pop up there? Refresh? Okay. What is happening here? Properties, refresh cache. Yeah.
Be quiet!
Okay, that one works.
Be quiet!
We will take Jerusalem! Deus Vult! Deus Vult! Deus Vult! Deus Vult! Deus Vult!
You're better than PBS. You don't interrupt for pledge drives. What do you think Streamlabs is? Streamlabs is just a funny pledge drive, and I appreciate it. Matt Barnes, the shoddy version of PBS, apologize. I will do no such thing. I saw Babe in the chat earlier. Hello, Babe.
I need about Treefiddy.
A loved C. Thomas YouTube comment. I apparently exist. You do, and I appreciate you. You do, and I appreciate you. Thank you, Corbin Thomas. Much appreciated. So this is interesting. I've never seen this before. Look at this. On Streamlabs, it's giving you shared for NAN seconds. What does that mean? Oh, is it automatically clipping the thing? Ah, that's cool. This is why I say Streamlabs is one of the fucking best services that exist for streamers. Full stop. Hello. Got God, I hope you can decipher that message. Damn, I'm sorry, Zublay, there's nowhere. Zobles, if you were closer, I'd have a job for you. Not a number is NAN. So I wonder if that will be available after the stream for the clip. That's pretty cool that Streamlabs can do that. God, it's such a good fucking service. Streamlabs is such a dope service to have. Must do chest day in 10 minutes. I'm still feeling mine for Monday. If I had a car, shit wouldn't be too bad. Having a vehicle makes life exponentially easier to not rely on stuff like public transport or to try to get a ride. It just makes life a little bit easier. I doubt Slabs is showing NAN in the back end. Well, that was the back end. It probably waits till after the stream to bring it up. Anyhow, we're going to get into this. I will not, and I know this is going to be pretty disappointing, at least not right now. I will not be getting too much into the shooter yesterday because honestly, that whole fucking thing seems like really, really strong strike and ban bait as it sits right now. When we know a little bit more about stuff and we don't have to speculate so much on this, that, and the third, I mean, things that we don't already have to speculate on. I'll talk about it a little more then, but Jesus Christ, a trans person shooting up a Christian school, that seems like such strike and such ban bait. I'm gonna kind of ease off of that for now. If and when the manifesto comes out, that's one thing. We could talk about it then. But for now, I'm going to play some real hard CYA because I'm trying to get this channel up in decent standing before they decide to take it out. It's, I'm sure that's a disappointing call for most of you. Maybe on Rumble when we can talk, like, when I am able to upload to Rumble without having to wait 2 hours for something to go through, or even if it goes through at all. We can talk about it a little more clearly then. But as far as YouTube goes, I'm gonna be careful with what I say if I say anything on it at all. It seems at least seems to be a minefield to walk your way through. Like I saw Destiny posted something about it. And he said it's weird how conservatives are now saying that it's not mental illness. It's the fact that they were this, that, or the third. And like one of the top comments was, you can't say they're mentally ill. It's like, okay, well, that's why nobody's saying it. So it's literally nothing you can say about it right now. So I'm going to wait. Just going to go a little bit. And then we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it like adults when we can. Salty talked about it at 3 bloody a.m. I do not know how Salty gets away with the stuff he talks about. I do not know how he does it. I have Gab, but I never used Gab. Gab sucked. So did Mines. Mines and Gab sucked. He has numbers. I had numbers. They still shut me down real quick. Fucking Crowder had numbers. They shut him down. It's interesting. Sargon. Yeah, Sargon numbers. They shut his ass down. I wonder. I'm just curious how Salty gets away with it. Anyhow, we're going to get into this. So guys, please smash that like button. Please share it out on your social media. If you feel so inclined, please consider dropping a buck or two into the hat. It is greatly appreciated right now. We have 3 McKinley packages ready to go out at a moment if someone decides to drop a McKinley. And I get to drink my delicious McKinley juice. And I think that if somebody drops a comment tonight, we'll get the horsecock, we'll get the song. But I think I'm going to pop a new bottle because God bless, I deserve it. I've had a rough week. Things are not looking like they're going to get any easier anytime soon. And I deserve a goddamn fucking good sip of something. So if someone decides to drop the comma, not only do you get the premium comma package, but I get to pop a baba. I get to pop a baba. For the $1 and for some reason not showing up. All right, maybe if I refresh this, it didn't start fucking with shit till I started clicking buttons. I mean, maybe if I refresh it. Dr. Forsyth, hey, I'm back. I think it's been over a year, maybe 2, but thanks for retweeting my meme about banning VPNs today. Dude, okay, is this a conversation we're going to get into? Yes. Yes, I think it is. Banning TikTok is the dumbest shit I have heard all fucking week. That does not include Joe Biden's chocolate chip ice cream thing. Because it's not about banning TikTok. It's about controlling the narrative, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Why else would they ban TikTok and then immediately go, well, if you use a VPN or if you use a VPN or if you decide to not grant access to the government to look at your Ring and Alexa camera and microphone, then you're going to be fined $250,000. No, it is not about banning TikTok. It's about controlling the algorithm. That's all it's about. You cannot convince me otherwise. If it was truly the same outrage about shortening kids' attention spans and shit like that, then you would hear the same stuff about Instagram and Facebook. Wait, was it a it does sound like a bad joke, M4 Sherman. I cannot read that. I hope you understand. See, okay, I guess I can't click the thing in the back end. Okay. So I'm not going to touch anything, but if somebody could just send $1 test donation. So I'm going to go hands off. I have to make sure this worked. If you don't like the content on TikTok, don't watch it. Well, the whole thing about it is, well, TikTok is taking your data and selling it to the Chinese government. Well, who the fuck do you think Facebook sells it to? Who does Google sell it to? Who does Instagram sell it to? Who do you think they're selling it to? And not to kind of undermine the idea of what they're doing, but do you know why the Chinese government wants your information? They're not going to clone you. They're doing it so they can advertise to you. They should not get your information either way. It doesn't matter what the reason is, but they're not trying to clone you. They're trying to advertise to you. They aren't selling it to the Chinese government. It is the Chinese government. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, is that the people who are advocating for the ban in Congress and in the Senate, they don't get the kickbacks from TikTok the way they do from Instagram, the way they do from Google. They just want to sell you Chinese shit, sell you fake J's. That is all they're doing with your information, is that they are selling you what you want to see. I mean, let's think about it honestly and critically. Every Ring camera, every Alexa, every Google Home, every smartphone, microphone, webcam, everything that has a microphone or a camera was made in China. Oh, shit. Okay, apparently Slabs is acting funky. We will get them to come up one way or another. It was working, isn't working, is working, is not working. Is working. Is working, apparently. So if you throw money in the hat, it'll get played one way or another. Thank you, Donkey Punch. Federal courts are already gearing to shoot this down as soon as it passes. How long has it been since a federal court preemptively prepared for a bill? I have no idea. I have no idea, but I don't like this. I don't like this. This is bad. This is very bad. I was a little more on banning TikTok yesterday, but seeing the Insane Patriot Act being proposed today made me 180 real fast. Now, I want to make it clear I am not shitting
right
on...
to jail. Right to jail. Right away. Right to jail. Right to jail. Right away.
I want to make it abundantly clear I am not shitting on Polly for his opinion on this yesterday. With that being said, I don't think he fully understands what is being proposed with this. They're making TikTok out to be the bad guy as a way to push through all this other nonsense. And somebody in the chat yesterday said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Well, that's the thing, is that this is not good. This is not perfect. This is bad. So I'm letting bad be the enemy of the good here, actually. My issue with TikTok is apparently the Chinese government had access to a long time while lying about it. China lying? I never. I do agree with not allowing it on government phone because, God forbid, they somehow tap security access for classified documents. I agree. I agree completely. Ban it on government phones. Make it 18 plus. Make it 16 plus. Yeah, I'm all on board with all of that. But banning it outright in the current state is to do nothing more than to game the algorithm in the government's favor. And you can't say they're not doing it, because we've seen it happen right in front of our eyes. They can deny it all they want, but you can't gaslight us out of the shit we've seen. I can't speak for Polly. Polly's argument was basically it's a creature of the Chinese government. I mean, you can go back and listen to the whole debate on Drunkle's show, but that was his main thing. But yeah, okay. If the only difference between Facebook and TikTok is senators aren't getting paid by TikTok. That's the only difference. A federal court. Oh, I just read that. I read that one too. Thank you, M4 Sherman and Donkey Punch. TikTok ban bill is literally Patriot Act for the internet. Fuck that shit. Yeah. Yes. Their TikTok and the one here is different. No, it's not. It's how algorithms work. I don't think you can geo-lock an algorithm, but just like everything else, it sees what you look at on other apps and it puts that on that app. I don't know if you can geo-lock an algorithm. I mean, it's possible, but if you're not interested in chicks shaking their ass, which I am, if you're not interested in that you can game that right out of the algorithm. Does China has a solo network? Okay, well, that's fine, but you can still game it right out of the algorithm. I stopped liking butt cheeks on TikTok for like 3 days just to see what would happen. And this is just my personal anecdote, and it doesn't fucking matter. But this is just my personal anecdote. I stopped liking butt cheeks, started liking cat, dog, recipe videos and news. So that's all my feed is now, and it just took a couple of days. It just took a couple of days, and my feed changed completely. So take it for what you will. Take it for what you will. I think banning TikTok is nothing more than giving the government more access to control what you see. That is all it is. You ban TikTok while not banning Facebook, while not banning Twitter, while not banning any of these other things. All you're doing is giving the government full access to control your home feed. And that's all there is to it.
I need about Treefiddy.
Every privacy concern you have with TikTok has already been fucked over 7 ways from Sundays by literally every Western app that you use. And that's a goddamn fact. That is a goddamn fact. And then the whole shit about them, if you use a VPN, that's a $250,000 fine and 20 years in jail. Like, guys, pay attention. They're doing it. They're doing the thing right in front of you. Anyway, this is a whole separate conversation for another day where we can rant ad nauseum about it. And a lot of people feel very strongly about it. I feel very strongly about it. Because I am of the mind that banning something will not get rid of that something. It's not how it works. It's just not how it works. You cannot ban something and expect it just to go away. And I don't know how you think you're going to ban VPNs.
Be quiet! Shut up! Be quiet!
And she looked at me and she said,
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Sin. I hope all is well with you both.
I hope they don't ban TikTok. How else are we going to get Super America? It's just a good question. Oren Doomhammer. That's a good question. Nice name, too. Donkey Punch. A couple of years ago, Lieutenant Colonel here in Hood developed an app to gain total control and monitoring power of devices of her subordinates. That is, but the government privacy will no longer exist. I feel very uncomfortable. I feel very uncomfortable by all this. I am scared. We're in danger. Let's watch some Tucker. Guys, smash the like button, share it out on your social media. If you feel so inclined, please do hit up the Streamlabs. We are already like a third of the way to goal, which is unbelievable. And fuck it, if we fill up the bar, I'll take a drink of the McKinley juice anyway, because that's fantastic. And we'll get a horsecock. You know, fuck it, we'll get a horsecock if we fill the bar up.
Good evening and welcome to
Baba, check your Twitter.
Tucker Carlson. Happy Tuesday. Another day of rumors and thinly sourced news stories. Ooh, what's new? These about when and where Donald Trump will be arrested, fingerprinted, and photographed against a cinder block wall for his mugshot. How much of this is true? Once again, we cannot say. Here's what we know. A Soros-funded prosecutor in New York, a man who ran on the promise to indict Trump.
So everyone just kind of forgot that Trump was supposed to get arrested, didn't they? That's funny. I like when stuff like that happens. All weekend, they're going to arrest Trump. He's getting arrested any minute now. And then it didn't happen. They were like, well, I never said that. We were fucking conspiracy theorists.
Seems to be working hard to indict Trump, indicting him for a crime that no one even pretends is a crime, including the federal agency that has already investigated it.
Can I just refresh? Okay. No, I cannot refresh. I can refresh? Cannot refresh. Cannot refresh. Okay. So I have to refresh here first. And then?
You have the right to remain silent.
I choose to waive that right.
Okay, I think if I refresh the cache on OBS every time, it should work. You go to jail and have 50,000 for a VPN. Well, I guess my Opera GX for all my shopping and Googling has a built-in VPN and blocker, so fuck you, government. You can't ban something like that out of existence. It just doesn't happen.
And declared it not a crime. So in Manhattan tomorrow...
Thank you, M4. I appreciate it, bud.
What will certainly be an overwhelmingly liberal grand jury will meet, and unless something unexpected happens, Democrats will have taken the unprecedented step of using a corrupt justice system to take out the frontrunner in the Republican presidential field in a presidential race. And if that happens, America will never be the same. You've got to hope that for the sake of the country, the Biden White House, which will be running against Trump, will put the country above partisanship and stop this. That Merrick Garland at DOJ will issue a very public statement saying that this is wrong, which it is, and therefore preserve for our grandchildren our justice system. As of tonight, that doesn't seem to be happening. In fact, as of tonight, it's not just Trump who is the target of this, it's Trump's voters. The Biden administration is in the process of preparing yet another law enforcement dragnet of more than 1,000 nonviolent January 6 protesters. These are not people who broke windows or tussled with cops. These are patriotic Americans who questioned, who dared to...
Be quiet!
Yeah, Tucker. Does anybody remember when Watch Dogs was fiction? Oh, long time ago in a safer universe far, far, far away. It is just, I truly and honestly think that banning TikTok is the wrong move. Okay, so let's think about this rationally. Let's think about this objectively. What are the reasons they want to ban TikTok? It is shortening children's attention spans. It is spying on your phone. Anything else? Am I missing something?
Question the official story of the 2020 election. They watched with the rest of us as COVID was used as a
I've never played Watch Dogs.
pretext to eliminate longstanding barriers to voter fraud. They saw Democratic partisan Mark Zuckerberg spend...
When did children not have short attention spans? Well, that's the thing, is it's always apparently 10 minutes ago.
Nearly $500 million to influence the mechanics of voting, including in critical swing states. Nevertheless, as they watched the news on the night of November 3rd, Trump seemed to be winning re-election. And then they woke up, and smug TV anchors are telling them that actually a senile man who refused to campaign had won the biggest landslide in American history. He got 15 million more votes than Barack Obama.
I don't buy it.
They were skeptical. They did not buy that. So they went to Washington to protest.
And if you publicly said that you didn't buy it, you got banned. And nothing screams this is the truth more than banning people who say otherwise. Oh my God.
Protest, they thought that was their right, and as a result, January 6th. That was more than 2 years ago. What did these people look like? Well, one of them was Jacob Chansley. We played you a video of him several weeks ago. They told you he was a terrorist. Here's what he was actually doing inside the Capitol. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay.
of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
So that's what Jacob Chansley actually did. There were people on January 6th who committed violence. They have been arrested. Jacob Chansley did not commit violence. By the way, he was arrested. He's spending 4 years in prison. 1,000 people have already been arrested for that. And most of them did what Jacob Chansley did. They walked through what we used to call the people's house. And some of them are still in prison tonight. So you assumed that ugly story was over, at least the law enforcement component of it. But no, it's not over. It's just getting started. The Biden administration has identified 1,000 additional Trump voters for non-crimes that they claim took place on January 6th, mostly.
And how many people voted for Trump? How long till just voting for Trump is enough to get you that call? Are you now, or have you ever been, a Trump supporter?
Walking as Jacob Chansley did. In recent months, according to a story in the Washington Post, U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves, a willing tool of the Biden administration, has written to court officials, quote, alerting them that an additional 700 to 1,200 people may be charged stemming from January 6th. How many is that? Well, this will constitute the largest investigation in the history of the Department of Justice by an order of magnitude. This dragnet is so vast that prosecutors are warning D.C. jails and prisons will be overrun with prisoners. Prisoners you can, at this point, only describe as political prisoners.
People are still in jail? Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yes.
The Washington Post reports that, quote, in recent months, law enforcement and judicial authorities have engaged in discussions to manage this huge volume of January 6th cases without overwhelming the courthouse where pleas and trials are held. This is depraved and it's malicious. Keep in mind, it was just 2 weeks ago that we got thousands of hours of surveillance footage from January 6th, footage the government and the committee had hidden from the public and in some cases from these defendants in the prosecutions. They did this on security grounds. Those grounds were bogus. We proved that. The footage, when we saw it, proved the government had been lying about what happened inside the building on January 6th. And as we just showed you, they lied about Jacob Chansley, the so-called QAnon shaman. He was not the only one. But in the tape that we showed you just a second ago and 2 weeks ago, Chansley is seen walking around the inside of the Capitol with the police escort. Police lead him
Dex.
to the Senate chamber. Now, you were not allowed to see that footage because it painted a very different picture from the myth they had been force-feeding you on television for 2 years. Chansley's lawyers didn't see.
I wish if I had a superpower, it would be immediate hindsight, if that makes sense. Because I want to know right now what this is going to look like in 10 years. The stuff that'll come out if a Republican ever wins again. I want to know what the stuff about this that's going to come out is. Because hindsight on this, we're going to be like, of course it was there. Everybody called it. But we just were banned for talking about it.
It turned out. The judge who sentenced Chansley to a life-destroying term in prison was not able to see it. So all that anybody knew was that Chansley had committed some sort of act of terrorism. They did not know the truth. Now that we do know, however, it's pretty stunning that they're trying to arrest up to 1,200 more people. Now, whatever you think of Jacob Chansley,
and I fully think all 1,200 of those people should defend themselves from a political persecution arrest, if needed. Wink.
Or Donald Trump, if you cared about civil liberties, you would be outraged by this. This is as grave a constitutional violation as you can have. In this country, the prosecution has to, for constitutional and moral reasons, turn over exculpatory evidence to the defense. That did not happen. This is wrong. This man is rotting in prison. His life has ended for a crime he did not commit and that he was not allowed to fairly defend himself against. But liberals didn't care.
Isn't looking up political opponents and their supporters for politics a threat to democracy? Not if you're the right team doing it. What are you, an insurrectionist?
They no longer seem to have any interest in justice or civil rights. Just today, the MSNBC morning show was continuing to lie about Jacob Chansley, telling its viewers that he is a terrorist who does not deserve rights. Watch.
So if you lie about what happened on January 6th, if you try to redefine it.
Okay, I think I might have fixed it. If anybody would be so kind as to throw a test buckaroo. I think I might have fixed it.
As, you know, and try to redefine Jonathan Lemire saying, oh, the weird guy wearing the horns, or I don't know who people were trying to say, oh, he was just a peaceful guy and he never walked through a window. Boom! A couple seconds later, we got
shot in the neck.
Reporters like Mr. Riley who will say, well, actually, look at this video. Here he is walking through.
Okay, it looks like I may have fixed it. I think we are fixed. Where's the tab? I'm worried after 10 years, America will not even look like America anymore after all that's going on. I mean, that's not a bad... It's not a bad assumption. This is worrying.
A broken...
Thank you, Hammer.
Window.
So as a factual matter, as if you need to be reminded, what you just heard is a lie, provably. Jacob Chansley did not walk through a broken window. He walked through an open door. And again, he walked into the Senate because the door was being held by a uniformed police officer with a gun. This footage is available to everyone, including the anchors on MSNBC.
Well, it does not matter. I can turn that one down. Give me a second. It doesn't matter if they have it. They won't show it. This is a thing I think people are just willfully ignoring, and maybe I'm the only one noticing it. I don't know. But they are willfully lying. They are not only lying about what happened, they're lying for their own personal gain. Whether it's monetary or whether it's political expediency, they are lying.
They know this, they're lying anyway. They don't care about what actually happened, and more critically, they don't care about the civil rights of the man whose life was destroyed. What you just saw is a measure of the total moral corruption of our news media and the institutions they serve in Washington. And it has implications for you. If they'll endorse the unjust destruction of one man, they have no limits. They will do anything. And now,
yeah, and they will keep doing it.
Now with these impending arrests, they're showing you what they will do. So if you support the wrong presidential candidate, you get arrested and don't get to see exculpatory evidence in your trial. Apparently those are the rules. But if you do vote the right way, you get paid. Democrats raise money for your bail when you commit violent crimes. They'll even force taxpayers to give you money after the fact. Hard to believe that's happening, but it is. The city of Philadelphia just agreed to pay nearly $10 million to hundreds of people who say they were, quote, injured in the police response to the BLM riots of 2020. Now, none of the businesses in Philadelphia that were burned get money, of course. They don't have rights. They're small businesses. They may vote the wrong way.
I could have sworn that not too long ago we considered corporations a person, but...
Obama's DHS secretary is happy with that. In fact, he says anyone who supported the January 6 protesters in any way, even if they never stepped foot in the Capitol building, must be rounded up and charged with insurrection. Watch.
January 6th was the very definition of an insurrection. In my view, it's in the national interest that in prosecuting these cases, we call it what it was. You know, we read that the special prosecutor is contemplating charges for obstruction of the unofficial proceeding, fraud. This was an insurrection. You know, let's call it what it was. And the insurrection statute punishes not just those who participate in the insurrection, but those who incite it and give aid and comfort thereto. So
what? Hold on, I gotta hear that again.
Insurrection, but those who insurrection statute punishes not just those who participate in the insurrection, but those who incite it and give aid and comfort thereto.
How do you hear this, look at this, and understand what these people are saying and go, no, this isn't a political prosecution? How? Genuinely, how? How can you look at this and say this is not a political prosecution? Or look at them trying to ban VPNs and say that's not political? Jesus.
So in investigating former President Trump and others around him, I think we really do have to call it what it is. I think it's in the national interest.
It was in no sense an insurrection. It was neither armed nor organized. It was a political protest that at times became violent and morphed, unfortunately, into a riot. But it was not an insurrection. That is a lie, and they know it's a lie. These are people who believe the election was stolen. They certainly had reason to think that. But instead of convincing them it wasn't stolen, instead of calming their fears by telling them what exactly Mark Zuckerberg's $400 million was doing in our election system, instead of explaining that despite the fact we changed the way we vote, no vote.
BLM killed more people, they're heroes. So just a couple of dozen people. That doesn't really count. And that's not counting all the unarmed black people that were killed in Chaz Chop Chop Chaz.
Voting fraud took place. Instead of explaining why voting seemed to stop in some places, did it not? Why don't you tell us? Instead of doing any of that, as you would in a democracy, they told them to shut up. Everybody told them to shut up. Every news channel in America told them to shut up. And some didn't want to. So they went to Washington for January 6th. So here these people, having already figured out that, hey, we can use police power to crush the other side, are fantasizing about locking up anybody who protests Donald Trump's imminent arrest in New York.
Yeah. That's, oh boy. I don't like it. If they want to round us all up, that's fine. We can play BO1. BO1. Prison Break, and Sin could be Reznov. Just remember, every journey begins with a single step. I don't get it, but I'll take it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You almost get the sense they want those protesters to commit crimes so they can go to Rikers.
I will believe these people actually believe what they're saying when they start advocating for their kids to be part of this. For their kids to sit under the same law that we have to. I'll start believing it then.
Watch as the MSNBC panel derives what seems to be psychosexual pleasure from the possibility of another January 6th in New York City. Watch this.
We've got something called video, and it shows...
We have video.
Still, that it was a riot, it was an attempted insurrection, and they keep going to jail. And so for those who think they're going to screw with the NYPD today, stay on the other side of the bridge. It's not going to go well. Even if they come into New York City and break the law, they're going to jail.
I mean, think about it. When people like Joe Scarborough are the ones getting up here and saying that you need to respect the police, that just means that the police are on his side now. That's all it is.
Pretty simple. Break the law, go to jail. There is no post-truth world.
Right to jail. Right to jail.
When it comes to the court system, right?
Pretrial detention.
No, certainly so.
Yeah, Rikers. And by the way, one-way ticket, too. Somebody said it. Rikers. Have a good day.
Over the long bridge there to Rikers Island. Yeah, there is certainly the NYPD specializes, particularly post 9/11, in real shows of force.
Some of us will never tire of hearing Joe Scarborough demand that we lock up people who break the law. The filthier you are, the more hypocritical you are, of course. But what's so interesting...
So much for defunding. Oh, no. As soon as they purged the payroll of cops who are ideologically impure, that defunding went right out the window. Why is Scarborough always fake yelling? Because he has a point to prove. Listen. Thank you, cult. Listen, Linda.
Is how you never see these very same people fantasize about locking up, say, the murderers or rapists or armed robbers or people who push elderly women in front of subway cars who are making New York City unlivable. This is a city in which the homicide rate jumped more than 50% from 2019 to 2021 because of their policies. They don't care about that. They're not mad at the murderers who caused shootings to increase more than 100% in that same period. They're not mad that Alvin Bragg, their new favorite prosecutor, dropped 70% of criminal cases, actual criminal cases, since taking office, so that these same criminals can continue to terrorize poor people in neighborhoods where MSNBC anchors don't live. Try that in Nantucket and see if it works. Don't think they'd put up with it. So they don't want those criminals locked up. They want protesters who vote the wrong way to get locked up. Now, it goes without saying this is an inversion of what you're supposed to want in a sane society. In a sane...
Yes, Jacob, the louderer you are, the correcterer you are.
Society, you let elections determine who has political power. You don't fantasize about your political opponents going to jail. You don't want a real show of force to deter constitutionally protected protests because those protests are the sign of a free society. You're proud of that. That people can protest. They don't have to be violent. They can say what they think. But that has changed over the last 2 years under the Biden administration. Here is federal prosecutor Michael Sherwin on 60 Minutes in 2021 in tape that we will never forget, speaking about American citizens, bragging about the DOJ using, quote, shock and awe to round up as many Trump supporters as possible to deter them from protesting Joe Biden's inauguration, which they have the constitutional right to do. Watch this.
After the 6th, we had an inauguration on the 20th.
I don't remember anybody, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember anybody telling people they should not or cannot go out and protest George Floyd or the other one that Kyle Rittenhouse overshadowed. I don't remember people telling them they cannot go protest. I remember people saying it is dumb to protest for this cause. But I only see one group of people being told they physically, actually cannot protest.
So I wanted to ensure, and our office wanted to ensure, that there was shock and awe that we could charge as many people as possible before the 20th. And it worked because we saw through media posts that people were afraid to come back to D.C. because they're like, if we go there, we're going to get charged. We wanted to take out those individuals that essentially were thumbing their noses at the public for what they did.
Yeah, you cannot. It's kind of a violation of the First Amendment to thumb your nose. To arrest somebody for a perceived slight.
Shock and awe? Take out those individuals? Isn't that how you treat ISIS? These are Americans you're talking about, pal. That man in a free country would have no power whatsoever over his fellow citizens. And
yet, for some reason, literally the worst of the worst rise to power here, and it is insane.
Instead, he's launching a new war on terror against people who vote differently from him. This is bigger than Donald Trump, and it has been for a long time, and now it's escalating. So where are the Republicans, you wonder, the people you vote?
Didn't they encourage protesting during Trump's inauguration? I remember specifically a video of one Maxine Waters advocating for Republicans to be harassed in public. So yes.
Vote for, who are supposed to be protecting you from this, but the country from devolving into something unrecognizable. Where's Mitch McConnell, by the way? He's the lead Republican in the Senate. Where's Tom Tillis, the liberal Republican from North Carolina? Where's John Cornyn of Texas? Where are all the other Republican senators who said, shut up, you shouldn't see the videotape from January 6th? Are these people on board with arresting 1,000 more nonviolent January 6th protesters, their voters? We asked them. We didn't get any reply.
Yes. I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. We have a constitutional right to protest and a constitutional duty to undergrab your government. God damn it. To overthrow the government should it become tyrannical.
Lindsey Graham's spokesman did send over this thoroughly humiliating response. Quote, you sure put a lot of trust in the Washington Post. We take most.
I remember something about a tree of liberty.
Most of what we read there with a grain of salt. Huh? So the U.S. attorney in Washington announces in federal court that he's going to haul another 1,000, maybe 1,200 Trump voters to jail. And the response from people like Lindsey Graham and the rest of these people in the United States Senate, Republicans who you voted for, is don't worry about it. They're saying the same thing as a Manhattan DA threatens to put Donald Trump, the leading Republican presidential candidate, in handcuffs.
Thank you, Baba.
This is shameful. They refuse to defend the Constitution or their own voters.
No, you didn't do anything, Hammer. I just have to be careful with some of the stuff I say.
And we really hope, through the electoral system, they are punished at one point soon.
I am losing faith that that can happen.
So the media in this country do not exist to inform you, obviously, but to mislead you on behalf of the people in power. So it's not surprising the footage you're about to see has been hidden in years. It just surfaced in a PBS special, of all places. It shows the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, and Tony Fauci in 2021 visiting residents in a black neighborhood in D.C. to push the COVID vaccine. And
I wonder why black people are certainly apprehensive about getting the COVID jab. That is crazy.
You can assess for yourself how well that went.
So this is Ward 8. It's the typical social determinants of health, where they don't get good medical care, they have a high degree of HIV, high degree of COVID-19, the lowest level of vaccination.
So I'm not going to be lining up taking a shot or a vaccination for something that wasn't clear in the first place. And then you all create a shot in miraculous time. It takes years to create vaccination.
Well, it used to take years.
If it allows.
It used to take years, but when I started making...
Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
Oh, yeah, that was a good call to make that a donation. That was definitely a good call. Is the Capitol some kind of holy land? They shouldn't be fighting so hard to keep those... I'm sorry. So hard to keep these people in there. That T-H-E-I-R, in there. In there, T-H-E-R-E? Not sure, but thank you, Pikmin. And apparently it is a holy land. According to the cop, it was.
Thousands of people like you don't get vaccinated, you're going to let this virus continue to percolate in this country and in the...
To percolate. Percolating virus make Bowser go crazy. They always coming to me, make sure you get your vaccine. The C to the O, V, D the I, the D. It's something there.
Something like...
Oh, in jail. Oh.
The common flu then, right?
You gonna pass.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you start talking about paying people to get vaccinated, when you start talking about incentivizing things to get people vaccinated, there's something else going on with that.
I won't keep you anymore.
It's okay, because y'all campaign is about fear. It's about inciting fear in people. You all attack people with fear.
Yeah, I would be yelling such fucking abuse as they walked away.
That's what this pandemic is.
So great. The people of Ward 8 may be poor, but they're not stupid. Notice Tony Fauci gazes at them like he's walking through the zoo with contempt and a little bit of fear. So he kept getting questions like this from the poor but not stupid people of Ward 8 in D.C. One lady asked Tony Fauci if the vaccine would prevent her from getting COVID, which is the most basic of all questions. Here's how Fauci responded.
I heard that it doesn't cure it.
Don't do that.
But I want to do that. Funny how the same people who decried Trump as an authoritarian openly advocate for their brand of authoritarianism. Always the case, my friend. These people are spoiled children drunk off of nepotism, sloth, and the worst excesses of ego. No lies detected there at all, and that is very aptly put, actually. Nepotism and ego. It's their brand of authoritarianism. It's blue authoritarianism instead of red authoritarianism. It's crazy.
And it doesn't...
Thank you, C. Thomas.
Stop you from getting it.
No.
So
on the very, very, very rare chance that you do get it, even if you vaccinate.
They want to copy Ukraine, it seems. I am willing to bet, and if anyone disagrees with me, you're probably right. They tried it in Ukraine, felt the pulse here of about how people accepted what happened in Ukraine, and now they're going to try it here. Bong.
Vaccinated. It's a very, you don't even feel sick. It's like you don't even know you got infected. It's
except, you know, the people died.
It's very, very good at protecting you.
Get a vaccine for that, and then maybe we could talk about the COVID one. But until you can vaccinate against death, that one seems a little more permanent than the flu.
So it turns out the lady in the tank top was a lot closer to the target than Mr. Tony Fauci, the highest paid federal bureaucrat in the world. Raymond Arroyo is the author of The Unexpected Light of Thomas Alva Edison, and we're happy to have him join us tonight. Raymond, thanks so much for coming on. You work in D.C., you're familiar with the city. What do you make of this amazing and highly amusing tape?
Well, you know, first of all, this is on American Masters, Tucker. Now, when I watch American Masters, I want to see Sammy Davis Jr., Martha Graham, but now we have Tony Fauci, the master of deception maybe, but not an American master. He also, this crew followed him, Tucker, for 23 months, like he's Beyonce. You know, every move has to be captured by the camera. It is a remarkable document, though, of the
Fauci just set something off in my lizard brain.
Common sense of people, even in very poor communities. They were saying what we were hearing from epidemiologists and virologists all over the country very early on. Mainly, these are leaky vaccines. They don't prevent infection or spread. And that man on the stoop, you got to give him props. There's a moment where he says, you are incentivizing this, you're paying us to take this, and that made him squeamish about it. There's a moment in the documentary, Tucker, where behind...
I think that's Fauci's kryptonite, I guess, his reverse magnetic pull, is if you bring up money, dude splits or becomes very uncomfortable very quickly.
Fauci, they have a car, and on the car it says, win me. So all it costs to win this car is to allow them to give you the jab, offer your arm. I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood is a lot more friendly than Dr. Fauci's. You don't want him coming knocking on your door. That's frightening.
Well, what's so interesting is I spent my life in that city, diagonally across it, in the rich part of the city,
right,
where nobody had any questions about the government's motives here. It's interesting, in the poorest, most crime-ridden part of the city, everybody had a kind of gut skepticism that turned out to be well-warranted.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as free money. What's that old saying? There's no free lunches or something like that. I wish people would have remembered that.
Yeah, well, and look, when not the Cookie Monster, but the Booster Monster comes looking for you, you better hide the kids. But I love that people were willing to confront him. But the arrogance, the arrogance toward these people was striking from Fauci. He already had a Disney Plus documentary. Now we got to get PBS in on the action. Come on.
I love it. All my Harvard-educated neighbors are like, oh, if CNN says it's okay, okay. And this guy doesn't have a job. He's like, what? No.
Yeah, we're not doing
sense.
that.
I don't think so.
God
It's
bless
so
him.
great.
Common sense,
bless.
Tucker. It will save us.
Raymond Arroyo, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch...
Earl Everman is just fighting his own battles in the chat. God bless you, sir. Let me know when you beat your own demons, buddy. Because certainly not anything anybody here said. But I do see that there's 250 watching and 90 likes, and that is a terrible ratio. So I am going to encourage all of you to caress that like button, share it out on your social media, and if you feel so inclined, throw a shekel or a dinar, what's other foreign currency, a peso, not a peso, it needs to be at least $1. A Great British Pound, a Norwegian krone. Throw a couple of bucks into the chat or into the Streamlabs. God damn it. Throw a couple of bucks into the slabs. It's greatly appreciated. Same stuff I said before. 3 McKinley packages left, 1 premium comma, a couple new songs. Yeah, a couple of yen. Well, a few thousand yen, but yeah. A toonie or a loony. I'll take either one.
The founder of the Dylan Law Group, she joins us tonight. Hermie, I mean, this is clear even to the president of Mexico.
It's clear to everybody, Tucker, and I think it may even be clear to members of the grand jury in New York. And I think that's why we saw not the expected indictment come down today, but rather a cancellation of today's session. Now, in New York, the grand jury meets.
I will, but I'm broke. Hey, man, no worries. Did you like? Then you're okay. Support the orange whiny dingleberry. Earl, I'll give you one more shot to make a coherent point, but if you're just gonna in the chat, you're gonna get ousted.
Meets on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays typically, and they're on call for tomorrow. So it's quite possible that people are reading too much into this, and tomorrow.
Sadly, they never give up their game beyond most window-licking drivel. Well, that's the thing, is they make up their own arguments against something and then say that they're right for it without actually addressing any actual argument.
We'll see what was meant to happen today, but some of the leaks that we've seen out of the proceedings and out of the DA's office suggest that the DA is getting pushback from the grand jury, and that may lead to that may be as a result of the testimony of the witness that you had on your show on Monday.
I'll throw you a cougar and okay. I don't know what that is, but we'll see. Not yet sure.
Robert Costello, who testified that he had.
Okay, skip. Boring. Next.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Let's enter fantasy land.
Liquor and I said it before and I'll say it again. Sin, PBS is the shitty version of you, not the other way around. I actually like listening to you doing news. I don't watch mainstream anymore, Fox or otherwise. Keep it up. Generally, I don't either. I usually don't watch any mainstream news, honestly. I get 99. Honestly, I get a good part of my chunk of news from TikTok. But yeah, Fustonia, I appreciate the compliment. Really, it is greatly appreciated. That gives me the warm and fuzzies, and it's those kind of kind words, and obviously the monetary incentive or donation, I should say. It's those kind words that really keep me going. Thank you, Fustonia, for the big 50 and for the incredibly kind words. It is greatly appreciated.
And for a moment, let's pretend for a sec that our country had a news media that was interested in bringing you the news, not in lecturing you about your moral inferiority. You're so bad. Or lying to you in transparently obvious ways. January 6th was an insurrection, guys. Or even in forcing you to repeat whatever childish slogan they've come up with this week. Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. Okay. Trans women are women. All right. Say it or else. Let's imagine instead that we live somewhere.
It does. It gives me the warm and fuzzies.
Completely different, in a country where the media felt obligated to tell you what was actually happening in the world and why it matters. What stories would we be talking about right now if we lived in that country? Well, here are the first two.
Okay, side tangent. I gotta spit this out. I haven't watched TV in years. Everything I watch is YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok anymore. I am embattled right now with Mama Sin about getting her to cut cable. And I helped Mom out with my bills, and I helped her out with her cable bill last month. Holy jumping fucking shitballs. It was like $180 something. I was like, Mom, You need a drop cable. Not only can I not afford this, you clearly can't if you're coming to me to help you with it. All right, what's going on in the chat? Messages being deleted left and right.
You have the right to remain silent.
I choose to...
Oh, fuck.
You have the right to remain silent.
I choose to waive that right.
That is a great donation. That is an excellent donation. I was like, Mom, you got to cut cable. So I'm gonna bring over my smart TV and maybe do a little switcheroo and give her my smart TV and take her old TV just so she can cut the fucking cable. It is fucking insane. That is insane for that amount of money. $180 for Cox basic cable? Get fucked. I only watch the new for two things: local weather and traffic. Everything else I get from you guys or other alternative sources of news. That's the best way to get it. That is the best way to get it, honestly. Plus, what's up, Drunkle? If you get your news online, you get varied news. You get varied news. And I think that's the best way to go. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do the old Indiana Jones switcheroo with my mom's TV and be like, okay, this is called Pluto TV and it's live. And you have this now and you save me this amount of money per month. I think it's about that time.
Earlier this month, Iran and Saudi Arabia, the two most significant powers in the Muslim world, announced that after generations of proxy wars and snarling hostility to one another, they will be resuming diplomatic relations. Peace has broken out between blood enemies. As recently as last year,
Getting rid of cable freed up a shitload of dollars for donos. Well, I appreciate you making that decision, Faustonia.
very few would have thought that could happen, and now it has happened. And it's happened, and here's a significant thing from an American perspective, it's happened because China, not the US State Department, but the communist Chinese government, brokered the deal. The world's largest atheist state has halted religious conflict between two theocracies. Did you see that coming? Probably not, but there's more. Yesterday, China's President Xi turned up in Moscow to announce a new partnership with Russia. Going forward, Russia will supply much of China's oil and natural gas. Vladimir Putin also agreed to use Chinese currency in trade with Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Once again, holy smokes. As with the Iran-Saudi summit, very few people imagined anything like this could happen just 18 months ago. Quote, change that hasn't happened in 100 years, Xi said, is coming, and we are driving this change together. Now, what change was Xi talking about?
Well, it's them picking up the coattail of the only other country in the world with anything close to their firepower.
Well, the end of American global hegemony, the end of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. For 100 years...
And this is a union that we have driven. There's nothing else.
She got it right. Since the close of the First World War, the United States has been the preeminent nation on Earth. For 40 of those years, we were locked in a Cold War with the Soviet Union, of course. But at no time, no matter what they may have claimed, was there ever really a question about who was the most powerful country. We were the most powerful country. It was the American era.
Faustonia, I still have a VCR too. It's fine.
That era just ended a little over.
Oh shit, I just realized we are over halfway to goal, guys. Thank you so much. That is incredibly generous. We can drive it the rest of the way there. I believe in you.
We're 2 years into Joe Biden's presidency. But amazingly, no one in this country seems...
I have a VCR in the studio. It's over there.
...seems to notice that it happened. That story is not leading the news tonight. Instead, we're arguing about whether or not to arrest Donald Trump for a fake crime to keep him from running for president again.
And don't get it wrong. That is literally the entire reason that they want to arrest him. It's not because he actually committed a crime. Paying hush money is not illegal. It's to prevent him from running for president.
Over at the White House, our senile president...
Fuck yeah, conservative atheist. I still have a lot of Dragon Ball VHS tapes.
...just gave some sort of medal to a sitcom.
Back when I had extra money to play around with before everything went to shit, I would go to my... sorry. I would go to the Goodwill, the Exchange, and places like that and pick up any Dragon Ball VHS tapes that I didn't have, and I was trying to complete the collection. I couldn't do it, but I was trying.
Actress, presumably for her break.
I do too, Fustonia, and I have the Godfather ones.
Avery, you read those scripts so boldly. CNN is covering that story like it's the moonwalk. On Twitter, meanwhile, people seem excited that our vice president has sent a letter to a transvestite.
Exactly, conservative atheist. I was trying to build up all the sets. So if anybody has old Dragon Ball VHS tapes laying around, my P.O. box is in the description of videos.
A TikTok star called Dylan Mulvaney, who is famous for dressing like a 6-year-old girl. Kamala Harris is very proud of him. That's the news we're getting. It is Weimar, but dumber. Meanwhile, the world beyond Morning Joe is changing faster than at any time in, well, as Chairman Xi correctly noted, about 100 years. None of these changes will make life better for your grandchildren. But since many Americans don't even know they're happening, the outcry here has been limited to a few insightful but deeply frustrated bloggers on social media. They see clearly what's happening. No one else seems to. It's driving them insane.
There's a difference between seeing what's happening and talking about what's happening. That's two very different things.
There are still people in this country, for example, who seem to believe that the so-called climate agenda is actually about the climate or about the environment of the earth or something, and not a coordinated effort by the government of China to hobble the U.S. and the West and take its place as the leader of the world, which of course is exactly what's going on.
And that's what it's always been, too.
It's pretty obvious when you think about it, but most people don't get a chance to think about it because the propaganda is just too thick. It's unceasing. It never ends. Here's the latest on the front page of paper.
Oh, I completely forgot. We have a whole bunch of new donations down below. They're annotated with little question marks. I think we're somewhere in the $32, $33 range for the new ones. If you want to see those, I'm annotating them as we go.
Around the country. The head of the United Nations demanding the United States blow up its own economy, otherwise the world will end.
Humans are responsible for virtually all global heating over the last 200 years. The rate of temperature rise in the last half century is the highest in 2,000 years.
Were we taking temperatures 2,000 years ago? How do you know that?
Concentrations of carbon dioxide are at their highest in at least 2 million years.
How do you know?
The climate time bomb is ticking.
I don't know if I've seen too many movies, but anybody telling me something in a German accent, I'm automatically side-eyeing them going, are you sure?
So when someone who knows nothing about science, whose job it is to act as a proxy, a puppet of the Chinese government, starts wagging his finger in your face, claiming scientific expertise and telling you what to do with your economy, at the very least, you should pause for a moment. And you should also remember that the United Nations has been saying pretty much the same thing since at least 1989. That's the year that the Associated Press reported that, and we're quoting, a senior UN environmental official says entire nations could be wiped off the face of the earth by rising sea levels if the global warming trend is not reversed by the year 2000.
Well, before 89, I think it was like 76, they were complaining about an ice age. It's always horse shit, but it's just different flavors of horse shit.
That was 34 years ago. Happy to report we're still here. So has the science changed? Well, apparently it has. Not that anyone will acknowledge that. But the shouting remains exactly the same. And the AP doesn't seem to have archives it can check to find out, have we written the story before? So they just keep writing the same story. 2 days ago, they wrote this, and we're quoting. Humanity still has a chance, close to the last, to prevent the worst of climate change's future harms, a top United Nations panel of scientists said Monday. But doing so requires quickly slashing nearly 2/3 of carbon pollution by 2035. Okay, Associated Press. There's even a quote from the UN Secretary General. Again, not a scientist, a puppet of China, but pretty good at slogans. And we're quoting, humanity is on thin ice, and that ice is melting fast.
When you focus group every sentence, yeah, you're going to get pretty good at it.
Publishing the same piece and just moving the dates around? Not really, actually. Because if you read it closely, if you took a look at the UN's entire report, and actually we spent the day doing that, there are big differences in how they plan to solve global warming. This time, the plan is much more explicit. Make the West, the United States primarily, but also Western Europe, blow up its own economy, while China, the fastest growing economy in the world, doesn't have to do anything. And in fact, they're not doing anything. China is currently building, well, 2 new coal plants every week. Every week.
Every week, 2 new coal plants, but, you know, me driving my Silverado or you just driving a car were the issue. My Silverado is doing exponentially more damage to the earth than China is doing. You can get fucked.
Not good at math, but that's...
And you can also get Stream Boss for like $5.
Like 104 a year? That's a lot of coal plants. How many are we building a week? 0. Pretty weird for a country committed to fighting climate change. Well, the report says that compared to Eastern Asia, North American countries have a 33% greater obligation. How do you measure obligation? Is there a scientific scale for that? But a greater obligation, 33% more, to accelerate spending on, quote, mitigation investment flows to, quote, limit global warming. Okay, the West has that obligation. Now, if you were to go by, like, real numbers, you might notice that China's carbon emissions today are more than double our carbon emissions here in the United States.
But if you look it up, it'll still say we are the highest polluter on the face of the earth.
So we're spewing less carbon, they're spewing a lot more carbon, but we have to spend more because we have a moral obligation. Because why? That's not explained. But later in the report, the United Nations does say this, quote, actions that prioritize equity, climate justice, social justice, and inclusion lead to more sustainable outcomes, co-benefits, reduce trade-offs, support transformative change, and advance climate-resilient development. Adaptation responses are immediately needed to reduce rising climate risks, especially for the most vulnerable. Equity, inclusion,
the most vulnerable,
and just transitions are key to progress on adaptation and deep societal ambitions for accelerated migration. That's science. Try not to use a swear word on TV, but I think we know what that is. It's BS.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
The report continues, we need, quote, meaningful participation and inclusive planning informed by cultural values and indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge. Now, how much of that, that's directly from the UN report, how much of that sounded to you?
These people would single-handedly take out half of the planet if they think that they could get money or power from it.
Probably not a credentialed scientist, but a person with common sense. How much of that sounded like science? All of it, says CNN, all of it!
Humanity is on thin ice, and that ice melting fast. That warning, courtesy of the United Nations Secretary General, made in tandem with a brand new United Nations report labeling the planet a ticking time bomb.
It is worse than we ever thought it was going to be, and the time is ticking in order to defuse this climate bomb.
At this point, I'm like, fuck the environment. I'm team can't fuck the environment. That's just my thoughts. I will not elaborate further.
Climate time bomb is ticking. That's according to the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's report.
There's no such thing as climate alarmism anymore. The time bomb is ticking.
The new UN report warns the climate time bomb is ticking and the world is running out of time to avoid catastrophe.
There's no such thing as climate alarmism anymore. Nothing you say can be too extreme. It doesn't matter. That's
Climacy, yes, just another guy, exactly.
Science. For the Chinese, it's just so easy. How do you win a war without fighting?
I used to love the show Nature After People. That shit bounces back quick.
By getting your adversary to kill himself. Well, how do you convince a strong, self-respecting, powerful country like ours that has ruled the world for 100 years to do that? Turns out it's pretty easy. You take a collection of dumb...
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
Desperate people in middle age, hoping to keep on to their stupid TV jobs. You add scripts and some hairspray, and they just repeat the lies for you. And then all the people in the country sort of nod, yeah, that's exactly right. We got to do that. Respect indigenous knowledge. Stop driving our cars. And the amazing thing, it's kind of working. So...
Kara Soldier for 530 successfully nabbing the fully flat $5 stream boss wore a bull title. Give you some confetti on that one. Is that your way of insinuating that you want $5 stream boss wars? The more they talk about equity, the less they care about the real issues. We live in the most privileged country in the world, yet the MSM and the left promote victimhood. It's disgusting and annoying as shit, sin. Plus now I'm stream boss. Hey man, you angled that. There you go, saying yes. Caro's calling for the $5 stream boss war. That's up to you guys. Thank you, Caro.
What exactly is the science behind all this?
I just heard my office back door opening.
Be quiet!
Oh, it's you.
Be quiet!
I don't know, but
Nobody else got the key.
I figured you didn't lock it when you left.
I never do. I don't unlock it.
Thank you. Oh, I was just getting food dropped off. Love you. $5 stream boss wars! Call to Curl's throwing it down. Bang. Give you some confetti too. It's T-Tech's birthday and he's going to have a lot of cleaning up to do.
Well, on Substack, where actual scientists now reside, a political scientist called Roger Pilkey did a deep dive on where these people got the idea that the world will end if temperatures jump 1.5 degrees Celsius. That's the globally accepted goal, according to the AP. Well, it turns out that globally accepted
My lovely wife was dropping off Din Din.
goal originated in a newspaper advertisement and a draft paper that was not even peer.
Oh, I need a Post-it. Where's my Post-its? I need my Post-its. That is 2. 1, 2. On the stream boss or change.
Reviewed. Now it's in the Paris Climate Agreement. That's the power of marketing. But what's the point, of course? What's the point of the marketing? It's to destroy one civilization to be supplanted by the next civilization. Unfortunately, we're the one being destroyed, or that is destroying itself. And no one at the UN, by the way, cares about the data, where it came from, because the real goal is...
I disagree that we're in the one being destroyed. We are in the one that is destroying itself for profit and political gain. It's not being destroyed. That is suicide. What's for dinner? Subway. Easy. Subway. Kids wanted Subway. We got Subway.
Nothing to do with the environment. Of course. Duh. Look at the pollution. If you cared about the environment, this is a tough time to live. But ever since Julian Huxley took over UNESCO in the 1940s, pushing Malthusianism, the idea that the world is overpopulated has been the dominant way of thinking for the people in charge, except with respect to their own families, they have as many kids as they want, but you're not allowed to. And that leads to moments like the one we saw a month ago where
Sam Silence advocating for the stream boss war to be nuked. Now would be the perfect time for a comment drop and conquer for the rest of the month. The rest of the month, huh? Yeah, it's probably undercutting it there, but I think the people want $5 stream boss wars.
the Harvard historian Naomi Oreskes wrote an op-ed in Scientific American entitled 8 billion people in the world is a crisis, not an achievement. Well, if you're one of those 8 billion, that's...
I mean, it is a crisis. But where are the 8 billion? I think China and India account for like a quarter of that. Now do the rest of the world.
Seems like hostility. If some chick is writing a piece in a science magazine about how your existence is bad, that might make you nervous, right? It should. And it may explain why these people oppose nuclear energy, which seems like a solution, but they're against that too. So it's not really about carbon emissions, is it? It's about hurting people, specific people. They think there are too many people. And this view is very widespread. It's why the leaders of the Democratic Party are always in your face telling you to get an abortion. Hurry up and get an abortion.
Oh, no. Somebody didn't respect the war. Hammer didn't respect the war.
The first worm of the summer!
Well, that was a quick two, people. The climate will change no matter what. It's not us doing it. It's everything. Plants, volcanoes, burning chemicals in Palestine. Yeah, can't forget about the last one. As you say, Sin, we are the carbon they want to reduce. If I had a bell close to hand, I would be ringing the shit out of it. Thank you, Odin Hammer. Fucking up the stream, boss.
It'll help the GDP. It doesn't hurt, of course, that getting rid of fossil fuels would mean a lot of Democratic Party leaders will get a lot richer. Their donors certainly will, the ones in the renewable industry. It also means a ton of money for people with no skills at all, like Jen Granholm, who's now the energy secretary, who owned stock in these green energy companies while she was in office. It's also corrupt. It's unbelievable. And they're in your...
And they're not even hiding it. It's all there, right in your face. And if you bring it up, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a dickhead, you are the problem if you bring it up. Them doing it is not the problem. You acknowledging it is.
Your face. There's no such thing as climate alarmism. Shut up and accept it. This would explain why Joe Biden campaigned on ending fossil fuels and bringing about economic devastation for millions of Americans back in 2020.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either one of those, any fossil fuel. No more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period.
I don't think these people understand that 99.9.
The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns.
And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take off firearms. Here's some birthday money, you patriot, you. Or some of my birthday money. I was like, dude, it's not my birthday. Here's some of my birthday. It's your money too, Divine Petulance. What the shit were people doing 9 months ago? 3, 6 would have brought us to June. You just a bunch of June babies. Thank you, Divine Flatulence. Much appreciated. We're 22-24 from $5 Stream Boss Wars again.
But I want you to look in my eyes.
Big happy birthday to Divine Flatulence.
I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel, and I am not going to cooperate with it, okay?
Imagine living under the rule of people like that. Imagine living in a system where we, with a straight face, ask someone who's never had a real job in his entire life, who has no idea where electricity comes from, probably can't even change a light bulb at this point, about our energy policy, and then taking his answer seriously. And what do you get when you do that? And apparently we did. 81 million votes he got, more than Obama. Really? Shut up and accept it. Well, the result is now our strategic petroleum reserve, maybe the most valuable thing the United States government owns, is depleted, and Russia, which we say we hate, is now once again one of the most...
Hold on, I'll replay it.
Do you know Linda?
Yeah.
Did you bite her?
No.
You're on camera biting her. Fuck. We're gonna have to lock you up now. Do you?
Let's see what this one is, shall we? Also, I bet these eco-freaks can't field their own farms to help lower emissions, rather fly in their own private jets. So why listen to hypocrites? Because if we don't, they're gonna do terrible things. They're gonna ban us and memory hole our existence like they did to, I don't know, Alex Jones. Thank you, Punch Drunk Jester. Long time no see, buddy.
Most important energy suppliers in the world. Meanwhile, your energy prices went up at double the rate of inflation last year. So what are we looking at here? Well, there are people with economic agendas benefiting from solar panels and the wind farms that kill endangered species. And they're the illiterate cultists in academia who are just for this because they're for it. As if to prove that point, Greta Thunberg, who just deleted a tweet from 5 years ago saying the world's going to end in 5 years, is about to get an honorary degree from the University of Helsinki. This is a girl who made a living by not
Dr. Goblin.
So what's the degree in? It's not science, not climatology. It's theology. But the real agenda...
That tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Of course, is much bigger than any of that. It's the great global reshuffling that is going on now. Beneath the notice of most Americans, we're going to wake up one day and realize we're not in charge. And this is part of the reason. Subscribe.
I mean, we're not in charge now.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube. We showed you pretty hilarious footage from a new Tony Fauci documentary.
What if the world did end 5 years ago and we were just the ones not raptured? I am existentially terrified.
Last night, it showed that Fauci knew less about science than some random people in the poorest neighborhood in D.C. It was truly funny. So today we watched more of it, and we were not disappointed. You really should see this. The film crew caught Tony Fauci crying during Joe Biden's inauguration.
Today is
I mean, all 8 people were very misty-eyed.
Combination of so many different things. It's kind of a diffusion of an incredible amount of pent-up tension and holding back of despair.
But now I see.
Fucking Polyword.
Clapping alone in his sad little apartment. The more you know about the people.
No, Tucker. I mean, the answer is right there in front of you. He was not clapping alone in his sad little apartment. He was clapping for the camera, and that's what it was about. This was all right there for the camera, and that's it.
Charge, the less reassuring it is. But there were other candid scenes from this document. We cannot recommend this enough. Here's Tony Fauci taking his second out of like 40 COVID shot.
I got my second vaccine yesterday, and I feel like today.
Oh, he had a vaccine reaction. He must be a conspiracy theorist. Clay Travis is with Outkick.com. He joins us tonight. We got to kick that man off Twitter. He's claiming he had an adverse reaction to a vaccine.
I want this man. I know everybody's focused on the Donald Trump perp walk, Tucker. I want Fauci in handcuffs more than I've ever wanted anyone
Me too.
in handcuffs in my life. I never would have believed, Tucker, that after OJ.
That being said, there's probably a couple people I would like to see in handcuffs more than Fauci, but that's a different context for a different stream.
Simpson got away with double murder. Some 80-year-old NIH bureaucrat would have risen to the level that Dr. Fauci has. But Tucker, you mentioned the guy in D.C. on the porch who questioned Fauci directly. For 2 minutes, that guy on the porch questioned Fauci more aggressively on COVID than left-wing media did for 3 years. One guy on the porch. And what I love about this documentary, too, is Fauci thought that he was going to be the hero here. Instead,
Fauci thinks he is the hero.
All it's providing now is a tangible record of all his lies, everything that he has been wrong about, immortalized forever, including some things like masking that he claims he never even said in the first place. I love it. I'm going to watch. I want him in handcuffs.
I think he's already in a sad, lonely hell. But so he treats that guy like a zoo animal. The guy has a really good point. Like, really, you can make a vaccine that fast? No, we can, says Fauci. And then he goes back in the car and puts on hand sanitizer.
He is the science. That's right. He is the science.
Because he was in that man's proximity. He's just dirty.
And how about DC's mayor is there with Fauci?
Muriel Bowser seems like a real insufferable cunt to be around, doesn't she?
And she says, I wouldn't even be standing this close to you if I hadn't gotten my shot. And then I think she tested positive for COVID shortly thereafter, of course, because I guess it's going to be the 7th or 8th shot that solves it all. But Fauci is a fraud. Rand Paul's right. This guy belongs in handcuffs. Can we get a perp walk on this dude sooner rather than later?
I'm not sure I want to see any more documentaries like this. I don't really want to know what these people are like. 'Cause it's always confirming of every suspicion. Clay Travis, great to see you tonight. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Tucker. Appreciate it.
Maybe maybe one day we could sit down and watch the Fauci documentary together.
China is buying up land across the country, including ag land. But some states, this is so perverse it's hard to believe it's real, are helping the Chinese government replace American manufacturing as well. The governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, just gave more than $700 million in taxpayer money to fund a massive Chinese battery plant in Big Rapids.
I'm gonna have to figure out the On OnlyFans, no, I think OnlyFans is going to be for if I ever put up spicy content and sexy science theater. I have to figure out the copyright shit with it, but I think this could be something we could do. A little bit of a one-off.
Rapids, Michigan. Residents there are protesting this. Tudor Dixon ran for governor of Michigan. She's host of the Tudor Dixon podcast, and we're honored to have her join us tonight. Tudor Dixon, thank you so much for coming on. This is one of the stories, it's hard to believe it's real. How could Gretchen Whitmer have gotten away with this?
Well, how did she get away with this? But how is it not a bigger story what we've recently found out? Because we gave the state of Michigan, lawmakers and Gretchen Whitmer have decided to give this company $715 million in taxpayer dollars. But in the company bylaws that are on the company website, it clearly states that when they get to Michigan.
We are 160 away from goal and 160 away from a horsecock. It's not too bad. You think we could wrap it up?
They have to have a CCP organization on site, a Chinese Communist Party organization on site, a propaganda arm of the CCP right in the center of the country in Michigan, 1 square mile of CCP in the center of Michigan, and that has to influence the grassroots of the corporation. So think about that. They have to have the CCP there. This is in the bylaws. Clearly the lawmakers and Gretchen Whitmer read these bylaws.
I doubt they read the bylaws, honestly. I doubt they read it. But the fact that we have to have a CCP rep anywhere on our soil, do you understand the target you're painting on your own back if you're that guy?
Would have to say, you would have to know what the company's operations are going to be. This is nowhere near any of our car manufacturers, any of our automobile manufacturers. So what exactly are they doing in this rural area in Michigan? But to top it off, we now know that about 250 to 300 will be housed at the local university there. Chinese nationals. These are not going to be American jobs.
My God.
They're bringing Chinese nationals in to take these jobs, and they will be housed at the local university, where the local university has just so happened to be telling people, this is such a good idea, you have to have this corporation here.
Money. How much money are we getting? Not we. How much money are they getting for this?
So how much money are the Chinese going to give the local university?
And Gretchen Whitmer, who strikes me as extraordinarily corrupt. I mean, someone got paid for this. Do we know who?
Well, we need to find that out, but obviously lots of people are involved in this. You have lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, but you have Gretchen Whitmer, and we have said from the very beginning this is suspect, and now you have the community rising up. So Big Rapids actually said, you know what, we don't want this in our town. We want this to move out. Goshen said we're going to move to the town next door. They're still pushing. You still see local people coming up and saying this does not make sense for us. We don't want the arm of.
I'm genuinely surprised they didn't federally force the town to accept this.
The Chinese Communist Party right here in our small town. But think about this. This is truly an organization. It clearly states it has to be the Chinese Communist Party setting up in the middle of the country. You're surrounded by, Wisconsin has an Air Force base.
You're surrounded by Wisconsin. That's terrible.
You have a lot of opportunity to spy on the United States.
Cannibalistic Wizard, I agree. The only people that should be allowed to buy American land are Americans.
States, if you're right in the center of the country, and they're writing, clearly stating that they are spying on the United States.
I mean, it's Michigan, a state that used to build things.
Right.
The self-respect is gone. It's so sad to see. Tudor Dixon, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you for that amazing story.
I've never heard of Tudor Dixon before.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. If there's one thing your average liberal understands perfectly
All right, this will probably be our last video.
Well, it's that there's safety in numbers. Don't go out alone. Bring 80 million people with you. It's safer that way.
About 80 million rounds, motherfucker.
There is a reason, a fundamental reason, the Democrats are natural joiners and organizers and petition signers, and that their highest virtue is conformity.
Maliciously saying a petition signer sounds vaguely racist. You fucking petition signer.
They know that as long as they're all wearing the same uniform, they'll probably be okay. This is why you'll see one person in Brookline or Bethesda raise a Ukrainian flag in the yard, and the very next day, everybody on the street will have one too. Suddenly, it's an entire neighborhood of foreign policy experts all specializing in Eastern European border disputes. It's amazing. Just last year, these very same people were all eminent virologists, every one of them with passionate views on the details of pandemic management.
It is really astounding, their varied skills and traits.
This is, in other words, not a movement of rugged individuals. This is a party based on the idea of the group, the bureaucracy, the blob. It's the party of weak, fearful people who are huddled together for collective power. When the Democratic Party speaks, it is always with one voice, often in a North Korean accent. One thing the party often speaks about is gun control. No American has the right to own an effective firearm, a firearm that does what firearms are supposed to. They'll tell you this at length. Having a gun like that is just too much autonomy for you. If it continues, you may start to believe that you're a free citizen. And we can't allow that, and we won't. Joe Biden, for instance, makes this point regularly. Watch.
We're living in a country awash in weapons of war. I got it done once. I'm going to do it again. Eliminate assault weapon. It's time to...
You didn't eliminate them, though.
Ban these.
It's time to... You guys like my Joe Biden impression? America can be summed up in a single word.
It's time to ban these weapons. The right to bear
Sign the sign.
arms is not an absolute right that dominates all others. You don't need an AR-15. I'm serious. Think about it. Ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
You don't need an RA-15 or whatever they call it. So that's the head of the Democratic
You don't need an RC V8 car.
Party speaking very clearly that the party
is the assault weapon in the room with us right now.
Position on guns. If we don't control them, you can't have them. Every Democrat thinks this is part of the catechism. So you can imagine our surprise. The other day, we're driving through Cambridge in the old hybrid Subaru, adjusting our surgical masks to cover both nose and mouth, and listening, needless to say, to National Public Radio, the voice of menopausal liberalism. And as we're listening, we hear this. We're going to play it for you and see if you can...
I gotta hear that again.
Mouth. And listening, needless to say, to National Public Radio, the voice of menopausal liberalism.
Wow.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Oh, God, I love it. Fustonia said, boom. Boom, indeed.
And as
please do the chocolate chip ice cream video. Oh, you want to see a foot video? All right, give me a second. Holy shit, this is bad. So he was at a press conference or something where he's talking about like Women's Summit or something, and he's talking about the shooting. Then he just goes on this really fucking bizarre rant.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip.
Okay, what was that word?
Cream, chocolate chip.
I eat Jenny ice cream. Okay.
I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs.
What a fucking weirdo. This was supposed to be him addressing the shooting and women's inequality. And this is what he says instead.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs.
And all those fucking ghouls are just laughing. Like, ha ha ha. They're treating him like a retarded kid. That it is the 1575 is just the apt donation of Biden's entire presidency.
As we're listening, we hear this. We're going to play it for you and see if you can understand our total shock.
Mass shootings targeting LGBTQ spaces and a rise in anti-trans rhetoric have inspired some queer people to take up arms.
Stop the sentence right there. I am on board. If you're gay, whatever, trans, sure, get yourself a gun. There is a difference between active defense and active aggression.
New Hampshire's public radio Todd Bookman joined a monthly gathering of a gun group that sees firearms as key to their own self-defense.
Firearms are key to self-defense.
And as you might imagine, this story does include the sound of gunfire.
On a recent Sunday morning, the parking lot of Pawtuckaway State Park in southeastern New Hampshire is filling up with hikers. There's also a different crew, packing up warm clothes and weapons.
Thank you all for coming to Rainbow Reload.
Rainbow Reload.
Your anti-trans rhetoric makes the trans community carry guns. Rainbow Reload!
I don't know. As long as, again, this is pretty much across the board, as long as you're not shooting people, I think you should own a gun.
They're packing heat. They'll be appendix carrying in more ways than one. Watch out. Wait a second, we thought. This is NPR, National Public Radio?
But the funny thing is if you or I want a gun, then that's bad and we're insurrectionists, racist, Nazis, or whatever. But if a Rainbow Reload Coalition member wants a gun, that's encouraged, strong, stunning, and brave. Everyone should be issued a ballistic vest and an AR-15 in their handgun of choice. I am a two-way absolutist. Mother fucking yes.
Suddenly telling you that actual...
And we are 146 from goal. 146 from goal. That's a Witcher and a fart. That'd be a great way to round the show out.
Guns are good. They're valuable tools of self-defense.
You know Fake Gamer Cat wants her Witcher.
Really against you. So there are times when guns are good, says NPR. And we thought, well, wait a second. We've been listening to NPR since... well, Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers, and we remember very clearly their position on guns. For example, quote, the U.S. has more guns than any other country.
Come on, guys, you can make it a little more humid in here.
In the world. This is the same NPR that, in between updates on the latest trans dinosaur emojis, we've been following those very carefully, routinely runs segments calling for more gun control, and not subtle ones, like the segment entitled, Many Gun Owners Support Gun Control, so why don't they speak out? Oh yeah, a lot of gun owners support gun control. Of course they do. And yet, here's that same National Public Radio.
I will quote the late, great Patrice O'Neill. Number 1, the First Amendment is for people to talk shit. Number 2 is the right to have pistols. And if the first one fails, they always have the second one to fall back on. The most succinct, delicious way of putting it.
State radio, state media, controlled by the Biden administration, encouraging people to go to the gun store immediately. But not all people. Just trans people. Guns are bad, except in the hands of trans people. Wow. Here's more.
Groups like Rainbow Reload exist around the country, often called Pink Pistol Clubs. It's a place for experts and the gun curious to practice and improve their shooting. But this goes beyond hobby. There's a practical goal here, to prepare and protect themselves.
That's why everybody owns a gun, you fucking moron.
If the world is dangerous, then you have to be dangerous back. And that very much has pushed me into where I am now.
Ooh, the gun curious. Well, you know, when NPR describes something as the fill-in-the-blank curious, then it's a good thing. Ooh, the pedophile curious. Now the gun curious. The world is dangerous. You have to be dangerous back.
That is the whole point of owning guns.
Now, is that a quote from an FBI indictment of the Proud Boys? No, it's from an NPR segment. At this point, it's hard to tell the difference. And the lip-smacking NPR reporters just say it without any sense of self-awareness at all. What is going on here? Well, you know what's going on here. Is that NPR has decided that guns are bad, except when the enforcers of its ideology have guns. You can't have guns, but faithful servants of the Democratic Party can. And that makes sense because, like all totalitarians, they want a monopoly on force, right? So debate ends at that point.
I prefer camo, but I'll take rainbow. Honestly, I think rainbow camo is the way to hide out in urban environments.
One side
is it USA show. Not sure what that means.
Has all the firearms. You don't have to argue. You say, well, you can't change your sex. Shut up, bigot! Bang, bang! What's interesting is this is not just one NPR segment. The social justice reporter from NPR station KNKX in Seattle, a reporter called Lily.
Even more so, perhaps the young lady you court will return your correspondence when she tires of the surgeon or magistrate she fancies. Saddle goose.
God, have not heard that one in a long fucking time. Holy shit. Saddle goose. Matt Barnes, that was hard-hitting report coming from Panhandler Radio. Oh shit, that's Panhandler Radio. National Panhandler Radio. There it is. That's NPR.
Be quiet! Shut up! Be quiet!
National Panhandler Radio. Oh, fuck. That's hilarious. Oh, wow. Thank you, Matt Barnes. Wait, so they are arming themselves? Good, but aren't they pro-red flag? What is the rating in the community again? Guess that'll turn them over, right? Yeah, it's just going to happen. They're just going to give up their guns. Don't give up your guns. That's a bad idea. Thank you, Sanguine and Matt Barnes, National Panhandler Radio. Fucking Christ, that's hilarious. Now we are literally a 110 Witcher from Goal, guys. God bless.
Anna Fowler just reported on.
And I can't think of a stronger way to end the show. Caro Soldier. I must not have done the thing. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Do I do it like this? Boop, boop. Okay, I broke it. My dad was known as Triple P, Pistol Packin' Pastor. He had it on him at our church and also at school, or it was also a school. That's good. That is good.
A fascinating story. It's the suicide of a self-described trans person called Ucy. In case you want to look it up, it's EUCY. Here's how that NPR reporter described the suicide of Ucy. Quote, spoke to Rachel, a friend of Ucy, the Ballard resident who died by suicide yesterday while being evicted by King County Sheriff's deputies. Rachel says her friend had tried to get help in paying rent, but exhausted all options.
Yeah, turning that down was a good call. DP, pew pew. Thank you, DP. Much appreciated, good sir. Turning that down a little bit was a good call.
Options. Well, that sounds awful. So here's a person who's fallen on hard times, like so many Americans, is getting bounced out of her apartment and kills herself out of desperation. And anyone hearing or reading that dispatch from NPR reporter Lily Anna Fowler would feel pretty bad for the person who killed him or herself. Politics aside, completely. But it turns out NPR didn't tell the entire story.
What? No way. NPR didn't tell the story? I am shocked.
NPR left out was that Ucy had shot a sheriff's deputy prior to killing himself. In fact, Ucy put that sheriff's deputy in.
Seems like a big thing to leave out.
In the hospital where he remains tonight after undergoing emergency surgery. That wasn't of any interest whatsoever to NPR's social justice team. They just didn't care. What they wanted you to know was that Ucy was part of the trans community and Ucy died. And so Ucy's life matters much more than anyone's, including the cop he shot, and certainly more than yours. So what underlies all of this? It's not about trans rights, of course. Do you really think Joe Biden and his faithful vice president care about trans rights? Not one bit. About as much as they care about the daily suffering in Selma, Alabama. Not at all. Selma, Alabama is a desperate place. Poverty and violence define it. But they show up once a year to relive the civil rights movement, and then they leave. That's how much they care. And that's precisely how much they care about the trans community. The trans community, of course, is a vehicle for something else, and it's always the same thing, which is political power. And political power made possible by political violence. They want to be able to commit it, and they want you defenseless, so you can't fight back.
I'm going to have to find some range therapy here soon, because God bless, I think it's been too long. Newt. Doomhammer coming in with the 14. NPR sucks. I'm so sick of all the things being taken over by the left. It's a fact. That is a big fact, good sir. Thank you.
A lot of people in this country want it, not just NPR listeners. When police were holding a press conference about the shooting, again, the shooting of a police officer by a trans-identifying individual called Usi, activists heckled the police spokeswoman as the cop was in the hospital undergoing emergency surgery. Why? Because they said the spokeswoman misgendered the shooter. Watch this.
We've been led to believe that your 29-year-old man is actually a transgender person. Is there any truth to that?
I have no idea.
I actually knew the person. They are trans, and I ask that they don't be dead named. Thank you.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't even know what dead naming means.
Okay, so obviously this country has reached peak frivolity. The officer is in the hospital fighting for his life, but the debate is whether we're dead naming someone who shot him. So the people in that frame, and a lot of people actually who listen to NPR, care more about pronouns than human life. NPR would rather you didn't know any of this. We only know that this actually happened because reporters like Jason Rantz and Andy Ngo, one like NPR, don't take any money from taxpayers, were paying attention and knew.
And we all should be paying attention because it's kind of an important thing happening. Kiro Soldier said, and I'm back on top. Let's see. Oh, womp womp. You are not. Sorry, Kiro.
The details. And by the way, Andy Ngo has run the numbers about these claims of violence and genocide against the.
Oh, no, these people are sickos. Don't get it wrong. It's something we have to remember. And I think it is especially important to accept people for who they are. And God, fine.
Be quiet!
It's important to accept people for who they are, and equally important to be tolerant of how other people live and what they do with their lives. If you're trans, gay, whatever, who gives a shit? You have to remember that trans activists and LGBT activists writ large generally do not speak for the community they tend to speak for, or they say they speak for. 99.999% of LGBT people want to live their lives and they want to be left alone. They don't want trans people drawing attention to every single thing they do. That's just a fact of the matter. They off themselves, all names for them are dead names. Jesus Christ. Ooh, wow, Sanguine. Lol, what just happened? Streamlabs didn't catch up. It was actually Odin's dono that hit and flipped it, but Streamlabs just left behind.
Trans community, and here's what he found.
No, I'm not talking about you, Alec. I'm just saying that trans activists do not speak for trans people.
Having done actual research into it. Quote, there is no genocide of trans people in the U.S. or anywhere in the West. In fact, there's been an explosion of trans-identifying people, which research suggests is a social contagion spread by social media fads and youth peer pressure.
Damn it. Okay. Yep. Refresh. No? Properties refresh? Over here, refresh? Then refresh this a couple more times. I am not wrong. You are not wrong. Doesn't mean you're not an asshole. Okay, refresh again. Oh, Streamlabs, why must you update while we are mid-show? Can't you wait till I personally am offline before you do this kind of shit? Trans people are fine. It's the online community that think they run everything and they about everything. That's a fact. That is absolutely a fact. I think Destiny said it once. He said LGBT people are not LGBT activists, if that makes sense.
Sure. The few dozen trans people tragically killed in America each year are usually murdered by black men in the course of prostitution activities. So we believe that that is factually true. None of that ever gets mentioned, of course, least of all on National Public Radio. What does get mentioned? Well, the neo-Nazis, of course, they're the real threat. They're the ones targeting Rainbow Reload militia. Watch this.
One of the members, Sharon, recently transitioned.
And I went from concealed carry every once in a while when I was sort of feeling it to every single day, because reading the news, having a few experiences, realizing that I've gone from old cis male white upper middle class, really no real fears about anything, to there are people that just looking at me will want to hurt me.
There's that individual fear of what may happen simply existing in public. But for some, there's also a more organized and ominous threat, including a...
Oh yeah, Lisa, you're trans. Again, I don't speak for you, but I feel like I'm not too far off the button.
Neo-Nazi group now active in New England that's targeted trans people.
Yeah, you know, all those New England, what is it? Fucking hate Illinois Nazis, those New England Nazis.
The neo-Nazi group active in New England. The least right-wing region in America. Every state is blue. But there's a neo-Nazi group that's terrifying everybody. Look, just to be clear, we're not against people, American citizens, carrying firearms, having firearms. We support it, including trans people. It's fine. But what you're watching here is not the exercise of the Second Amendment. What you're watching here is political hysteria, fear, ginned up.
You aren't far off the button at all. I pride myself on at least having some knowledge of some things.
On purpose, with maximum dishonesty, in order to get people in a state of agitation. Armed people in a state of agitation. Doesn't matter if they're trans or not, whatever that is. It's the same template always. Scare the crap out of your voters, tell them that their lives are at risk, encourage them to get guns. How do you think that ends? But by the way, if
I hate trans activists, but I love my trans friends and trans people, that's it.
For following the logic here, and
that's a
why
bingo.
Not, that's in short supply in this country.
Hey, Slim.
You have to kind of wonder, like, what's the limit to this? So if trans people are in fear for their lives in every region in the country, including New England, which apparently is crawling with Nazis now, why wouldn't we be arming them as we are, say, Ukraine's trans army? And there are famously trans people in Ukraine's army. They're very, very proud of that. So why stop with AR-15s? I mean, why not F-35s or tanks? You know, that's a question for our highest-ranking trans admiral, Richard Levine. Here is Richard Levine in July of 2020 describing the threat.
The most vulnerable among us continue to suffer, including LGBTQ individuals of color.
Okay, where? When? Tell me when.
LGBTQ youth, LGBTQ seniors, and LGBTQ immigrants.
So none of that is factually true, as we just told you. In fact, some of the people he's describing are not the most oppressed in our society, but literally and measurably the most entitled and privileged. The Biden administration hired a kid to oversee nuclear waste disposal whose only qualification was his sexual fetishes. So no, there's not genocide going on. There's some weird affirmative action program going on. But if you
a little bit,
you listen to NPR, you wouldn't know that. And that kind of talk might scare the heck out of you. And if they encourage you to go get a gun and arm yourself because Nazis are taking over Vermont, you might do it. Again, we're as for guns as you could possibly be.
And it's almost like that kind of rhetoric will cause someone to I don't know, shoot up a Catholic school after Tennessee passes a law they don't like. I don't agree with the rhetoric. I agree with the getting people more guns. That's usually, by and large, a good thing. But you're putting that idea out there, and that's not great.
But this seems like an incitement. Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
Oh, and with that, that is it. We are done. We are out of time. Ending just short of the goal and short of a song or horsecock. But that's it, guys. I am putting a video. Oh, wait, let me navigate over there and then I will do it. I have a video going up on the Sin and Sass channel. As soon as I can, get this to load. And any day now. Come on, YouTube. What are you doing? Oh, come on. I got people to do. Come on. Okay, now, bang. Okay, now there is a video live on the Sin and Sass channel. Go ahead and check that out, and I will see you all tomorrow for the AAA meeting on Polydup's channel at 5:30 EST. Guys, have a lovely, lovely evening. Thank you for all the incredible donations tonight. You have been extremely generous, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, guys.